To give her reaction and provide us an even deeper understanding on how art truly is a healing tool, we have invited an expert in the field. Dr. Brillantes-Evangelista is a practicing clinical psychologist, psychology professor, clinical supervisor, consultant, trainer, and workshop facilitator for nearly 2 decades. She is a focusing-oriented expressive arts practitioner and trainer, earning her specialization from the Focusing and Expressive Arts Institute of Santa Rosa, California. Dr. Evangelista has her own private practice that offers individual and psychotherapy counseling and coaching, mental health consultancy for organizations, schools, and corporations, and so much more. Having an expansive knowledge and expertise in focusing-oriented expressive arts, here to give her insights and reactions, let us welcome Dr. Grace Evangelista.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. I'm Dr. Grace Brilliantes-Evangelista. I'm a clinical psychologist and I chair the Department of Psychology at Miriam College. I'd like to thank Zonta and Ms. John especially for inviting me to share with you some of my insights about the use of arts as voice, or the use of arts for healing and well-being and transformation, especially among women and children with history of abuse. I watched the interview with Miss Martina, and I got some key points there, that happened, at least with how she experienced the arts as a way for her healing and recovery and continuing on. And I agree with what she has described as a process. Arts for healing is the intentional use of the arts to express, create, have something to resonate with, and to experience aspects of ourselves and our lives. We make use of words, language, imageries, symbols, music, and movement, and even the metaphors to depict and make sense of our thoughts and feelings and cultivate a sense of healing and transformation. So generally, when we say that the arts are used for healing and well-being or for transformation, we are looking into the components of the arts, processes that allow us to express our thoughts and feelings, our experiences. So from the internal experiencing, we project those into the artwork, whether it's visual art, poetry, music, or movement. In movement, we embody the feelings through our dance, and we somehow get to make sense of that internal landscape. And even for example, for visual art, something that is very abstract emotionally, when we express it into the art form, it somehow concretizes or labels what we are feeling, allowing us to understand better ourselves and our internal experiences. The arts can be very useful in the healing process because they connect to us in many levels, including our thinking process, our feelings, even the bodily sensations. And by engaging in something that is neutral or fun, can be a safe space. So when we do art making without talking about the issues of violence or abuse, we also invite that safety into the picture. And feeling safe is actually very crucial, as we said, in the healing process, because as we said earlier, this was the first one that was violated. And this particular art here is an example of how the arts can be utilized to project onto the art making, even just that process of the making of the art and the art itself. While creating this monster, the girl who has a history of abuse, she was really poking this clay so hard. Then she said, dito ko nagawa yung hindi ko nagawa sa kanya. And it was very powerful. I witnessed how she was able to defend herself in that very moment. It's as if she was really getting into that space where she was doing something about the abuse. And it was very cathartic for her. So from that sense of helplessness with the abuse that happened to her through the art making, the clay work that she did, she was able to access courage and replay the story of the abuse not as a victim but as the hero that she can defend herself. I've had sessions like this when a client is really feeling sad or feeling lost, and would introduce some themes in the sessions. And one of the themes that I've facilitated with my clients, especially with those with history of abuse, is accessing their source of strength. Here, it's more of allowing them or facilitating them to imagine and embody their source of strength with their artwork. So right now, maybe we can try that a bit. Like maybe right now, if you're feeling weak or vulnerable, and just sensing your breaths inside, and also remembering how it feels to be supported, and maybe bringing into awareness our sources of strength and support, and imagining that into a symbol, an image, or even a sound, or even a movement. So that kind of a process of bringing into awareness our source of strength and support can allow us to really experience that in a bodily sense. No? And I witness how this transforms my clients from the felt shift now from the feeling of helplessness to maybe there is some hope, and welcoming into their consciousness, bringing into their attention their sources of strength, and allowing that to be embodied through the arts. Help them access this courage and strength that they need. So after creating the art, they can actually have a sense of hope and strength, especially for those with history of violence and abuse. It's so difficult for them to access that strength because of what happened. And by doing this, we remind them that they have that handle or that resource that they can go to. One of the things that I really find so helpful, especially if it's by group session, is the collective, the impact of the collective art making, whether it's interactive visual art, psychodrama, or dance, or even singing together. For this particular example, doing their stone mandalas or stone arts, the girls during this process interactively engaged with each other as they explore their hopes and dreams and feelings. And it was quite fun. They exchanges their thoughts, and we also had some interactive expressive arts like dancing and movement together with these stone mandalas. And here they saw themselves as regular adolescents with things that they can enjoy and that they can just share with each other, separate from their traumatic experience. But because they know each other, and they know it's something that is common to them, the abuse that happened. So there is kind of an acknowledgement of their difficult past, but they didn't dwell on that. They engaged in something that is life affirming for them. So what we are doing here is that we expand their experiences to more positive engagement, so that these can also be part of their memories. And the collective aspect of it, we sometimes have certain concepts like interpersonal neurobiology, when you are with people who elicit certain positive responses, and who also share compassion and kindness, we get that. Now we adapt that, and it now affects us down to the cellular levels, down to our neurobiology, so to speak, and how our body responds. And this kinds of positive engagement, the experiences themselves, these particular moments, can serve, as I said, alternative stories for them, so they don't have to define themselves with the abuse that happened to them, that they are not the abuse that happened to them. And with such interaction, they can also begin to be comfortable with others and to begin to trust again. And when we do this, when we increase the experiences, the capacity to experience more healthy and engaged activities and narratives, they begin to also see themselves beyond the abuse. They see themselves now as having the strengths, being able to accomplish things, and they can do something about their lives. So the arts serve as that, as a facilitative media for these women to see themselves with certain agencies and capacities, and that they can create something for themselves. And in this particular art, if you notice, the figure here has big hands, coming from that sense of helplessness and not being able to do anything about the abuse, to someone who has large hands and can actually be in control. Again, another aspect that happened, or as an impact of the violence or the abuse, is the inability to control the situation, having no control over what happened to them. So in a way, this also helps regulate the emotions, regulate the thoughts, as part of the agency of the person. So through arts, women with history of violence can create positive alternative stories about their lives. And this is what I'd like to emphasize as one of the approaches in arts-based intervention, the ability to externalize experiences from the inside, and being able to reflect on those experiences in a safe avenue, in safe media, and draw insights from there, and be able to see the self in different ways and separate from the abuse or violence that happened. And with the help of positive engagements and experiences, and even guide in our creative faculty and agency, we can redefine the course of our lives and the stories that we want to happen in the next parts of our lives, in the next chapters of our lives now. With the arts, women with history of violence can create positive alternative stories about their lives, allowing them to see themselves not as mere survivors of violence. As I said, they can create their identities and construct a life worth living for themselves and for their communities. So as women, as part of that, we can use the arts as our voice and as our ally, not only to heal from our painful past, but also to transform our communities to become safe for us. I'd like to end here, and really emphasize that we can do something that both in the healing of those who have experienced abuse and violence, and also as a way for us to educate our communities, our families. Arts can also be that voice, so that we can stop the violence against women and all other forms of gender-based violence, and hold the line for human rights and justice, and use the arts as our media for healing, for moving forward as a community. So I hope that this short sharing gave you something, and I hope that this can be useful also in your moving forward. So thank you, and good day, everyone.